From the heart of Kansas City, we bring you Buck and Bob Take on Chiefs Kingdom, featuring Mel. We're not a podcast that tries to pretend to be anything we're not. Just a podcast made for fans by fans. We're having a solemn day today.
Yeah, I'm Buck, and I'm in a really okay mood right now, all things considered.
I'm Mel, and I'm just fine. We'll be fine.
Well, we're going to talk about the loss to the Buffalo Bills. We'll get into it, but, hats off to Josh Allen and the Bills. They played an amazing game. Josh Allen looked like Superman out there. Good for him. Of course, we're not happy about it, but I am happy for the fans in Bills Mafia, and I'm happy for all of you guys that probably don't listen to this podcast. But for everybody who probably does, you're probably as solemn and sad as we are. But where do we want to start, guys? Do
we want to start off with a positive?
Sure.
So Xavier Worthy,
Yeah.
especially on that one drive,
Came out the game hot.
The whole first quarter.
and it wasn't even like easy catches where he had to just he was threading the needle. Mahomes was threading the needle, and like he caught the ball in traffic a couple of times. I think he even broke a tackle. Believe it or not, he was falling
He
forward.
had to reach for one of them.
Yeah,
did it, and
I was really impressed with Worthy. Yeah, so my question is, since Worthy had such a great drive and he had so many good plays, and even a first good quarter, it just kind of seemed like they went away from Worthy for the rest of the game. And I don't know if that's because the Bills just decided to cover him, but if that's the case, then they were covering Hopkins and Juju and
Kelsey.
Mecole and Kelsey and Gray on every play, because it just didn't seem like there was a whole lot of options for Mahomes to go to. So I'm kind of confused what happened to our offense there. I don't want to take anything away from the Bills and the way they played, even on defense, because they played fantastic. Sure. Knowing what Mahomes and this team is capable of, I'm not going to blame it on the offensive line tonight.
it wasn't. There was time.
Yeah.
And Mahomes still, we couldn't see the whole field, so I don't know if somebody was open and he wasn't throwing it to them, but it appeared that nobody was open. And then every time Mahomes scrambled, he was immediately caught. Right. So every time he scrambled, he was either throwing while getting hit or he was getting sacked. And I don't understand if he was scrambling the wrong way or if the line just at that point had broken down. But there was enough time. There was more time tonight than I felt like there had been, even though it felt like we got more pressured tonight than we maybe have in the past, because Mahomes just wasn't getting it off. So it either had to be that there was really good coverage on everybody.
Every single play.
There wasn't. They showed multiple times where they showed afterwards when you're watching after the play and they show receivers that were open. Tons of times where Hunt was wide open by himself on the other side of the field. Normally Patrick sees that. I did have it written down that the O-line's kind of sucking, but they were holding up better. But Patrick was not reading it well. When he should have broken in and to the right of the pocket, he broke in and to the left. And when he should have done the opposite of that, he did the opposite. When he should have ran outside, he ran in. It was almost like he was doing the opposite of what he should do every time. And I know I say this from an armchair, of course, but I'm saying normally we see Mahomes do stuff like that. I do think second play of the game, we had the first play, Worthy gets a good amount of yards, good chunk of yards. We got a second and short, and then second and short. Remember that.
Yep.
And then Mahomes gets rushed, gets knocked down, and decides to throw it while falling down. And you make that throw, your Mahomes magic, but you don't make that throw And it's just like, why, bro? Like, it was second and short. You could have just had another third and short after that, because he wasn't even back far. Like, he had gotten almost to the line of scrimmage when he threw it. And I don't get that. That puts that second play of the game, interception, that puts Bills Mafia on high, and that means the whole crowd is going nuts. It puts confidence into the entire Bills team. I don't care what anybody says about momentum, but I believe it's real, and that was a huge mistake, I think, early on that we did not have to do, which changed the whole face of the game from the start.
Wonder if it's like a PTSD thing with Mahomes this game. You know, he did have more time to throw, but it hasn't been like that for a while. And so maybe he was just
happy feet.
Yeah, it was like he was feeling rushed before he was actually rushed, because that's muscle memory, you know?
Yeah, I do think the pick on the second play of the game, I think, changed. He just like when everybody was dropping it or not catching it and he wasn't throwing as well, he was just more hesitant. And I think the way that Mahomes plays, if he hesitates, it really backfires. But he hesitated so long that he didn't even get passes off this time, you know? Like, that was the weirdest part. It just seemed very strange, to be honest.
I'm telling you, we talked about this a while back, but I'm not kidding. Andy, somebody please just check Patrick Mahomes' eyes just to see if he needs glasses or needs LASIK or needs contacts. Because I'm telling you, you don't just go from having amazing all-world vision to not having it. That's just not something that happens. Like, that type of vision that he has, and I'm talking vision in the way that he sees things, not actually how crisp they are. But I wonder if his eyes are going out, and we're just, because I don't understand how else to. I mean,
they would check his eyes at an annual physical. Like, he has to get an annual physical. They would check his eyes then. I just
Do you think so?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All the simple things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, honestly, it's, the second year when, or maybe it was the third year when we had Mahomes, when the way to beat us was to get pressure on Mahomes, right? And that feels like he's never, like this year, it's like he's never kind of been in that zone where he hasn't been pressured. And when he has, he's been pressured so much before that he's still, like Buckman was saying, still pressured, right? Like, he feels
he's
the pressure.
Feeling it before it gets there.
Yeah, whether it's there or not.
Yeah.
And I think it's just impacting his game. I think instead of seeing the field, he's looking for the sack, right? And instead of seeing all the receivers around, he's looking for who's going to hit me, how much time do I have? Like,
where's his escape route first?
Yeah. And I think that could be impacting him. But I will say, back to Worthy for a second, I think he ran better routes than we had seen him run before. But he can't get 2 feet and bounce when they throw it to him on the sideline to save his life. I mean, this is not the first time.
He did wear white shoes, though.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah. Well, I love Mahomes, man. In the press conference afterwards, he said, that one throw to Worthy, if I would have just thrown it in bounds. And I'm like, man, that ball was in bounds.
He could have thrown it a little to the
He had plenty of room.
Though.
Yeah, he wasn't very well covered on that play.
But it was a long throw. It was a long throw, and he did throw that throw under duress. That wasn't he took a hit after that. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay, but where the ball was and where Worthy caught it, does Hopkins come in with 2 feet in bounds there?
100%.
Does Kelsey come in with 2 feet in bounds?
Oh yeah,
it's not on Mahomes at all.
Yeah,
it's on Worthy.
Well, and I mean,
he has to have that awareness of where he is on the field. He has to.
Yeah, and he is.
That's what makes a good wide receiver.
A rookie. And Worthy did do a lot of good, a lot of good stuff. Like, what was his? So
he only had a few catches.
So he had one rush for 7 yards. Then he was targeted 5 times and caught 4 for 61 yards and a TD. He was our top. He was tied for top catches with Noah Gray and had the most yards on our team.
For sure, he had a great day, but think if he would have had that long bomb, that was the 5th out of the 5th targets.
Yep.
If he would have made
And
that
would
long
have put him
bomb,
over 100.
like, I just think, I'm not saying that he had a better game tonight than he has had since he's been with us.
Yes, absolutely.
But at the same time, this is not the first time that he's struggled with staying in bounce on the sideline. And I think a lot of it probably has to do with being in college and you only need 1 foot in bounce. But at the same time, he's got to figure it out. Like, he needs to get with Hopkins and figure out some moves.
But he's got the leg
get
moves.
his feet down.
This is about the time that Rice started coming around, and he's coming around.
He is.
I mean, the catches that he did make, like, let's not kid ourselves. One was into double coverage. The longer one.
Those definitely overshadowed the one bad play.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he threw it, like, he caught it.
They were all in the middle of the
between
field, though. Let's
a
be
ton of
clear.
people.
You know,
No,
Just kidding.
one was a screen. Like, that
I'm
was
just saying they weren't
crazy.
on the sideline.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
weren't.
okay.
Yeah. But I can't think of another rookie wide receiver that's had this many problems with that same issue over and over and over.
Right.
It's like he should be, after the 3rd or 4th time,
I'm sure there
I
is.
got to have both feet in? Okay. I didn't know that.
It's really hard to do that when running at top speed, looking up. I mean, his speed on the sideline is actually a hindrance for him. That's where speed's actually I remember my dog, who was one of the fastest dogs at the dog park. But we'd throw the ball, there'd be 5 dogs chase it. He'd beat them all to it by a good 5 to 10 yards on like a 50, 60 yard ball throw. And he would miss the ball and run past about 30 yards just to try to slow down. And the other dogs had the ball. It's one point where speed actually kind of hurts you on the sideline.
Yeah, speed wasn't really involved in that play, though. He was so wide open, and he turned around, made sure he made the catch. I like that. He didn't try to extend the play before he had the ball.
Yep.
But he just, man, you got to have that. You got to have that in your mind.
Well, you did see right before the ball hit his hands, he drug his he drug his foot.
He did.
He was trying to do it. He just mistimed when the ball was going to hit his hands.
That's absolutely right.
True.
Yeah, he did.
A for effort, were they? But
C for effort. At least there was effort this time.
true.
I mean, I'll give him and Noah Gray, offensive player of the game. I'll let them tie for it because, I mean, that was one screw up. Gray missed one also, but Gray had a third of the yards Worthy did. He did have 2 more. He had 2 TDs instead of 1. But I mean,
but they also don't have plays designed for Gray, and they have plays designed for Worthy.
Sure.
So that's a little.
I don't know.
I would argue that
designed for Gray, though. I'm not sure about that.
It did not seem like Gray was the first option on any of those plays to me, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Andy probably has plays designed for everybody, some more than others. But since they signed him to a long-term deal, I think we see Gray as our tight end of the future. So I'm sure I would bet money Andy's working in plays. And so I just don't know for sure. But back to Mahomes. It's the same thing I said at the start of the season. He's staring down receivers. He's staring them down. I don't know why he's not looking all over the field like he used to. I just don't know. I don't know if that's being coached and telling him. I hate to say it, but it might be Nagy. It might be our offensive coordinator. I mean, ever
Nagy
since
was his quarterback
I
coach
hated
before.
Yeah.
Eric. Yeah, but we haven't looked good offensively, like not even close to what we were in Mahomes' youth. Like ever since Eric Bieniemy left, offense has not looked great. And Tyreek left before Eric left, and offense still looked good. Offense was actually better
But every year,
after Tyreek left.
every
the
year
after.
defenses know even more how to play us, right? So every year we're fighting against being the one team that everybody is going to play their hardest to try to beat.
Very true.
And
I also think it's a function of where they're spending their money. They were spending all of the money on offense. Our offensive line was, 4 out of the 5 of them were in the Pro Bowl every season back then.
True.
And now our defense is really our focus. So our offensive line is just not giving him the time to do that. I remember back then when they got pressure on Mahomes, it was one guy that might slip through the line and he had to run away.
And Mahomes could easily get away.
Right. And now it's 3 or 4.
Well, and everybody
There's
says
nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Everybody says that our 2 guards and our center are elite, but I see the whole line being pushed back into Mahomes, not just the tackles. I see the whole line being destroyed coming in. And I'd love somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me what I'm not seeing. But all I'm seeing is the Chiefs line losing ground. And maybe that's the 2 guards and the center trying to make up for the tackles getting manhandled. I don't know. But all I know is I just see the whole line being pushed back into Mahomes and him having to run into people to get out of it, which just feels... stuff feels really off with the line.
Yeah, I mean, again, they didn't look as bad tonight as they have in previous games, but it still doesn't look great. I feel like it didn't look as bad tonight, but it wasn't wonderful. It wasn't anything to write home about. I don't know. I usually see the reason I feel like he's running into the 3 in the front is because the 2 on the side are just letting those guys get around them so fast that he can't even back up because he'll get hit by one of them. He can't go right because they're both coming, right? And so before it was like he could just sit there and look at the field and identify the one person that was going to get through the line, because there was one or so that would get through the line. But now they're coming from all angles, so he has nowhere to go. You can't step, like you were saying, he should step right or should have stepped left, but it's very rare that there's anywhere that he could have gone. And I feel like we can't sustain like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is, but
Well, and one bright thing is that we did rush good on him. I almost feel like we should have rushed maybe more. I mean, Hunt rushed for 14 times for 60 yards at a 4.3 average. Hardman had 1 9-yard run. Worthy 1 7-yard run. Steele had 1 2-yard run, but it was a real short yardage situation. Hunt's been more in the 3.5 category the last couple weeks, so he stepped it up there. On their side, their running backs, Cook averaged 2.2 yards per carry. Johnson averaged 3.6 yards. Davis averaged 2.2 yards. It was only Josh Allen that averaged 4.6 yards, and he was their leading rusher in attempts and yards. I mean,
I know.
yeah, it's like, I mean,
We
the fact that
very
we can't-
much struggle against the running quarterback. Like we saw it with Lamar, we saw it with Josh Allen. We really struggle, and the fact that we did not have a spy on that one play,
Yeah.
I just
the end of the
don't
game.
understand.
Does not make sense at
I
all.
don't understand. And maybe there was supposed to be a spy, and maybe they missed the mark,
it.
but I don't understand what happened there. I get that they were probably trying to play prevent, but we know Josh Allen, just like we knew Lamar Jackson. We know what they're going to do, especially with the game on the line. That was a make or break moment, and he was going to go get it.
Yep. And we talk about we're putting the money in the defense, and we talk about Chris Jones being a beast. We got to get back to basics because we had 0 sacks. I mean, they only had 2. You know, that's an improvement for how much Mahomes has been sacked. But quarterback hurries. They hurried Mahomes 7 times, and I feel like that's
low number.
Yeah, I
feel like he was on the run most of the
I feel
night.
like that's generous, and they just didn't actually correctly write that, and we only quarterback hurried 4 times, and I don't know, man. Like,
well, and I think
or
every
it
time
could be quarterback hits. Maybe that's
every
it,
time that
but-
we got to hurry, Josh Allen, he would just take off and run for it, and Mahomes wasn't getting those lanes to run.
and Josh was hitting his receivers. I mean, Josh looked good.
He did.
He looked amazing.
That whole
I will
team
say
did.
though, Josh has, I think, the best statistics against the blitz. He's just been very good against it, and so I think we didn't blitz as much
Yeah, we definitely
tonight
didn't.
as we usually do. If I noticed that at least,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was fine. But I feel like typically, even when we don't blitz, we're still getting pressure, and I felt like we weren't getting much pressure at all. And they had one of their tackles out, I think. One of their starting
One of the guys
tackles
got hurt.
No, but before that guy got hurt, I think they said they were already down 1 tackle. I could be wrong though.
They were already down 1 tackle, but he came right back in. They
Well, the
taped
second
him.
guy.
She's talking about before the game.
Yeah,
You're talking about the guy that got hurt during the game that
Oh.
came right back in. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But
Yeah,
she said that she thought she heard maybe Tony Romo or something say they were down a tackle. I don't remember that, but
they were down a tackle coming into the game, and he said they can't afford to lose another
one.
tackle.
Yeah.
But they didn't. There was a advantageous commercial right then, and he was able to have his ankle taped and be back in the game before. But that's okay. I don't ever want to win on injuries and stuff like that. This was at the very end of the game. I think that was the right call. I would feel kind of scummy if we were able to get like 2 big sacks on him, Josh, because we didn't give him time to get their player back in.
right. And if that happens to a Chiefs player, I would like that same courtesy.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
it just feels like a sportsmanship
Yeah.
type thing to do. So I'm glad the NFL did that because, yeah, I don't like injuries at all, and I don't like anybody getting injured unless they're a complete piece of trash.
right.
There's
There's very few players I root to get
Yeah.
injured. None of them are on the Bills.
I don't even know if any of them. I see, and I hate Crosby. I don't even hate him that much. Like I don't even want him to get hurt. Like I'm thinking about who was the guy that stepped on.
And Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, Ndamukong Suh. That guy, boy, man. If karma was ever right, they would get him hurt and make him have to walk with a cane.
Okay.
I mean, dude, he's a bad person.
He was- yeah,
yeah.
he
I
was-
mean, like Crosby's a dick, and he's like he's somebody I hate, and I think he's just nasty. I think he plays a little dirty, but I would never want him to get hurt. I don't like. It's very few people. I could count them on less than one hand that I would ever actually want to get hurt. So
How do you
that
count
was
on
okay.
less than one hand.
Or yeah, it's less than one handful. Yeah, so I don't even know what to say. I mean, I kind of thought that we were going to lose this game. I kind of joked about it on our pregame podcast that, let's keep the tradition going, Last 3 years we lost during the regular season and won during the playoffs. The year prior we beat them in the regular season, but I don't think played them in the playoffs because we got knocked out by the Bengals, I think.
You know what I think the difference is, though, is that I felt like every single one of those games, we both looked like amazing teams. I did not feel like the Chiefs looked like an amazing team this game.
Oh no! Okay, I will argue with that. We looked like we were struggling, but I mean there were four lead changes in the first half. I mean,
Yeah.
we were going tit for tat.
And we
Hit
did
for
get
All right,
hit.
so we had an amazing defense, but
we did get touchdowns, though. We got touchdowns. We didn't settle for field goals, so we did make it into the end zone. It just didn't seem. I feel like usually they're a little bit more, I don't know, exciting, I guess. I felt there was a lot of 3 and outs on both sides. I felt like it was just, it didn't seem like the typical Bills-Chiefs game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I got some stuff to say about the refs. I got a few things noted down. Not to say that the refs won the game for the Bills, because that's not the type of bullshit that I pull, that everybody else seems to try to pull on the Chiefs. But I do want to point out, just to show the Chiefs are not favored by the refs. But we'll get to that after this timeout. And we're back from timeout. And so I wanted to talk about the refs, because everybody says Kansas City gets helped by the refs. But I'm going to take you to the second quarter. We got a pass interference call on us. Now, while they were talking about the pass, and it definitely was pass interference, but while they're talking about it and showing the replay, I see a blatant illegal hands to the face by an offensive lineman on the Bills. Should have been offsetting penalties right there. And the illegal hands to the face would have happened before the throw even happened. So I would argue that type of shit should just be their penalty. But that's not the way it works. But I would argue that. Then Amari Cooper gets a long catch in the second quarter. He touches 1 foot down, his left foot, I believe. Yes. His hands touch the ball, but he definitely doesn't catch it. He definitely doesn't control it at all. It's just his hand is touching it, and it's definitely not a caught ball. His left foot comes up. He then actually catches the ball. Right foot comes down. Then his left foot comes down out of bounds. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, they're challenging it. Cool. It's not going to be a catch. It comes back. They counted it a catch. Unfreaking real. Okay, there's that one. Hold on, I'm not done. Okay, well, if you want to talk about that one specifically, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that one, I do feel like there's a question of at what point does a receiver have possession? Because if they're catching it in the end zone and they catch it like this, because that's what happened, is he caught it but hadn't controlled it quite yet.
I don't think he caught it at all. It was touching one of his hands.
It was in both of his hands.
One
it
hand
just was still moving.
I mean, both. Okay, so his fingers, for audio listeners, you can't see this, but his fingers on both hands were completely out the entire time that his left foot was on the ground. Then his fingers closed in after that left foot had left the ground a while ago. So that was, now I could see how they called it a catch on the field, but once reviewed, that should have been overturned. So that's another huge play.
I don't agree with that at all, though. Just because he didn't have his fingers on it, as soon as that ball hit his hands, it stopped moving. Completely stopped moving.
I think you're wrong on that. We'd have to go back and look, but
it was still moving.
It was still bobbling. Yeah,
it was still bobbling a little, but I still think if that was a Chiefs player, I would have been pissed.
He had control of that ball.
I think he did.
I don't think he did, but what do you think? Leave it in the comments. But that's two huge PI, huge penalty. And then this wrong call, in my opinion, but not in yours, was another huge swing. Then, there wasn't really much going on in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter, Samuels gets a TD. You look at the replay, and to me, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it was within 10 yards. That was a pick play. Tony Romo saw it too. It was like, oh, he got lucky that didn't get called. And I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? And all scoring plays are supposed to be reviewed. Are they not reviewing possible penalties?
No, I don't think they can.
They're not reviewing
in a review.
Yeah, they're not reviewing what happened up to the touchdown. I think they just are reviewing that it was a touchdown.
Right, that it was actually a touchdown.
Yeah.
But
I think you can go through any game and find 100 missed calls. I am sure of that. I appreciate that you're pointing it out because everybody points out every single missed call on the Chiefs because they think that the refs are on our side and want us to win. But I don't think this was egregious refereeing.
These 3 plays were ginormous plays. Now, I will say there was a no call on the Chiefs on Watson's suspect catch at the end of the game for 7 yards.
It wasn't suspect. It was not a catch.
Well,
but
thank you for that 7 yards. The refs are on our side. I mean, it's so stupid.
That pick play, though, my only thought process on that, and I don't know, but it just seems to me that when a ref calls a pick penalty, it's always within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. They never call it downfield. At that point, it's just receivers kind of getting defensive backs' ways, and so I just assume that it's because it was so far down. It might be 10 yards.
I think it's
but
10
that play
yards.
was 20 yards downfield or whatever it was.
No. They were in the red zone. I believe on the 13. I wonder if I'm right there. I didn't print out.
It just seemed like it was further downfield than what they would normally call a pick play. So that's a tough one for me. It was definitely a pick. I mean, it was definitely the guy definitely got in our defender's way, 100%. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. But I don't think intentional really matters when you're talking about a pick either.
I don't think it does either. But I'll give the Bills player that. It didn't look like he intentionally tried to do it. It looked like both the receiver and the Bills defender were like, "Oh crap!"
And if that's the case, then it's not a pick, though. I think that's the rule, though. I think the rule is when it's intentional because
but
if the guys aren't looking at each other.
So. We need to look that up. Yeah. Leave us in the comments the actual rule so we can go over it. But I don't think intent matters. I think I don't think intent matters in any sort of penalty call because just like for the same reasons, well, I didn't mean to kill him.
Right.
I just drove drunk, but you did kill him. And, you see what I'm saying?
I do, but I think you're right about most of them. But I think
it's cutting off the path of an opponent by making contact with him without playing the ball.
Mm-hmm. And the guy that ran into him was definitely not playing the ball because he was running left.
The other way, yeah.
Our receiver was running right. Or our
defensive back
was running right.
Towards the play.
His other teammate was running right. And it basically just made a free play for Samuel to get a TD. And
so my whole point is... But this article, just so you know, this article does refer to intent being part of the decision-making. It says... The question arises if there's intent. If there is contact, was the contact intentional? Did the receiver knowingly cut off a defender to spring someone else open? Was the receiver just running a route and things got congested? So they do take that into account.
I thought they did.
What the dog doing?
He's eating his food and water bowl.
He's entertaining himself, but we're entertaining ourselves.
Yeah, he's just complete. So, okay, so this goes back to... NFL, you guys need to call me, hire me, please, because I can help you. And I can tell you that there should be no rule where intent comes into play. You're setting yourselves up for disaster. Intent does not matter. What matters is what happens. So, yeah, that's horrible.
If that's the case,
then written like
if that's the case,
I mean, this is an article. This is not the rule.
The rule, yeah, right. Okay. It's not the rule by the NFL. But when you're doing that, though, when you're saying intent doesn't matter, so now you've got a wide receiver that's lined up close to the line, and he wants to run out to the flat. That's the intended receiver. Then you've got the receiver on the outside that cuts in towards the middle of the field because that's his route. If he has that route and a defensive back runs into him while he's trailing the guy going out to the flat, whose fault is it then?
Yeah,
it's not the receiver's fault because he's running his route, but it's a pick, right?
You set it up so that the offense can exploit it if it doesn't have anything to do with intent, right? They can make it so that the defender runs into somebody, just by the routes that they run and then get a
But I think
pick
they look
call.
at, like when the guy's running his route, is he running his route or did he take a step, an inch to the left just to kind of get in the defender's way? And they look at that. I think that's how they consider intent.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, the refs do have a hard job.
Yes.
And
there's not enough refs on the field.
I am not saying that these 3 calls changed the game and we would have won if it hadn't. Anybody who says they would have won outside of a penalty on the last play of the game is a moron.
There have been games.
There's no way to know something that's called in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter is going to have any meaning on anything. Only penalties in the last two minutes of the game really actually you could actually make a case for. Anybody who says otherwise is just a moron.
Well, hold on. To counterpoint you, though, you are a big supporter of momentum, and a penalty can absolutely be a big momentum swing.
Yes.
So they can be.
Yes, it's definitely
very impactful.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, get exactly what I'm saying. They are impactful, but to say, I hear fans of teams say, well, if that penalty hadn't been called, we would have won. And it's a penalty in the second quarter, and I'm like, you're an idiot. That there's it's basically like, have you ever seen the movie Butterfly Effect?
Oh yeah, not in a long time.
Yeah.
I
There
reference
is
it all the
no way of knowing how things would have went.
The whole
if
game would have
that
been
thing
different
was
if that penalty didn't get
the
called.
entire
Yeah.
game would have been different.
Every single play would have been different.
Hunt could have had one, say these 2 calls aren't done at the start. Hunt could have had 100 yards. Mahomes could have had 4 interceptions. It could have, a million things could be changed with that. So to try to blame that is just crazy. And that's what I wanted to point out is that,
you hear a lot of people complain about, actually say that, a penalty in the second quarter caused them to lose the game.
There is so many dumb people in this world.
I can't honestly say I've ever heard anybody complain about. I mean, I've complained about penalties in the second quarter, but I've never said.
I hear people saying that the refs work for Vegas. I mean, I've heard all kinds of absurd. I've heard,
but a ref can only do so much.
I've heard people believe and say that the Earth is flat.
Oh yeah,
half of the NFL players say
no,
it.
they don't. Not half. No way.
Probably not half. But Kelsey's. They talk about it. They talked about it on New Heights, and they're like, "You wouldn't believe how many people believe."
Let's
this.
be careful. Let's not make fun of those people because there could be a few of our listeners that might believe in the flat Earth.
well, if you subscribe, and hit that bell, and leave a comment every week.
Then the Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat.
Yeah, 100%.
God damn right it is, son.
It looks like a bagel. Yeah.
All right, but I just wanted to point that out. There's no way to know what would have been different. I keep pointing out. I want consistency. I've seen the Chiefs get lucky with a lot of different things. There was a lot of There's a lot of weird stuff tonight. It's hard to tell with the officiating crews. I just feel like every play needs to be reviewed and no calls need to be called late. I mean, I just really feel like that's something we, especially with Vegas being so involved now, because gambling's legal in the majority of states now, and they just need. I mean, college games are 4 hours long. I'm cool. Why don't we just have NFL games now be 4 hours long? Let's get it right rather than having these conversations over and over again.
I think there was a concerted effort, though, Reese, in the last 5 or 10 years to make NFL games shorter, though, because of viewership. And the younger generation likes, their attention span isn't as long, so they want to try and keep it.
Well,
let's
too long.
fix the younger generation.
Plus, you can't get as many games. Yeah, that's
hey,
going
the younger generation.
To be fair,
you can't fit as many games in a Sunday either if they make them longer.
To be fair, especially this year, there has been a shift. They have had the New York office or whatever they call it, who has been watching the entire game. And you'll hear the announcers say like, oh, that got called from New York, that was or wasn't a penalty or something. Like, they are definitely intervening more frequently. They didn't used to intervene at all unless it was challenged.
Yep. Well, and the problem is, so you could go and watch every camera angle on on the field, and so many of them show different things, and the NFL has a lot of money. A lot of money. I want a control room for every game. I mean, we're talking like Houston.
Yeah.
Houston, do you have a problem? I want 25 people paid and working in there, studying one camera the whole time, and then they could quickly go, oh, there's a penalty over here. Yes, it would be a rocky start because we'll start seeing so many penalties we hadn't seen, but it will clean up the game for the future. Because right now, guys do. It's a give and take game where guys see refs that aren't catching things, and they do a penalty because they know they can. If there's a whole team watching every single game and just like calling it out, radio it to the refs, I mean, that is something they could do. It would be a little bit of an expense for the NFL, but it would make the game. I mean, it would.
I mean, I'm going to put my corporate hat on here and say,
Here, let me stop you right there. So the Super Bowl rings for the Kansas City Chiefs this last year were $46,000 each. They gave them to every single employee employed. Now, I bet you could find people watching penalties in, and you can do this remotely. You go to states that have like lower cost of living. There's plenty of people in like rural Kansas or South Dakota that could do this from home, and like, or you just,
there's no way they wouldn't let people do this from home.
You set up a facility in one of these lower cost of living areas, and then you have everybody there in a facility, and you could pay them $46,000 a year, and they're living large. I mean,
but that's not who they hire to do refs. So there was I can't remember what it was. It was like 15, 20 years ago. I saw a special on refs. None of these people are full-time referees, right? They're lawyers and judges, and
some are now, though.
And the vetting process is
huge,
out of this world, right? So they're not going to hire Joe Dirt that has a
no. What I'm saying is, you hire Joe Dirt to see the thing, send it to them, then they go and look at it on their booth, and they're like, "Yep, he's right." Boom. And they just change the call.
But
Joe Dirt do it fast.
Joe Dirt would send them a trillion things, and then you're just like, I feel like there's.
Well, Joe Dirt would have to have
Joe Dirt is looking at the
Bob Davey as the boss, that would say, "Okay, send it."
Yeah, but he's still looking at the same camera replays that we're looking at and that the refs are looking at.
No.
You think he's got access to more cameras?
I said for each game there needs to be a dozen Joe Dirts all looking at the different camera angles.
One for each camera angle? I'm not sure that they don't have that now, though.
I don't know. I would love to know.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Like, I'm just saying that we got off on a
tangent, a ref tangent
there, but it really would be nice to just not have these conversations later and just have all of it on board right off the bat. Because I'm just tired of people saying the Chiefs win because of freaking penalties, and I pointed out that the Bills, believe, got 3 huge game-changing penalties, and I still don't think that's why we lost the game.
I've never subscribed to the whole the refs are on the Chiefs side. Never. I just know that's a bullshit claim. But since for this season where we've been doing the podcast and we're analyzing every single play, even during the preseason, we were watching every single play like it was the Super Bowl. It's the dumbest claim that the refs have any
Skin in the game.
for any
Yeah.
any team at all. Yeah. I know there's the one-off guy that bets a lot in Vegas and refs games a little jagged. That happens, but I think it's such a small thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's so dangerous for those guys. I mean,
Yeah,
they can't swing a game enough to make it profitable for them.
Well, and that's why, the only time it really matters is in the last 2 minutes of the game. And that's why people say the dumb thing, like you can't call pass interference at the end of the game like that. It's just like, dude, I understand
every single play
what you're saying, but you're saying that you're just allowed to pass interfere at the end of the game is what you're saying also. But that's why they have that mentality, and that's why we have to feel sorry for them that they can't see the big picture,
comprehend.
But I mean, all in all, the reason, if we want to look to one reason why we lost this game, it's because how the hell can we not contain Josh on
Allen
4th
was
and 2
the difference
at
of
the
this game.
end of the game? I mean, we're talking 4th and 2. We can't even contain him to stop him. I mean, like maybe we were trying to let him score, but that's stupid because we go up 2. But Josh Allen was literally on that last run, 4th and 2. He's going in, and he was slowing down and looking around. He was like,
so surprised.
Was like, should I go down? Shit, I don't remember what the score is exactly. Oh fuck, and then he was just like, fuck it, I'm going in.
Yeah,
but like in his head, he was thinking, crap. If I go in, do they still have a chance to win? Or are we up two scores? And that was going through his head, and he just blanked.
He already knew that. He already knew.
Dude, he slowed down. He thought about taking a damn dive right there.
See, I think he was thinking about diving to protect himself because he thought for sure he was about to get tackled. There was no way he was going to be that open. And then when he saw the lane open, he was like, for real?
Okay.
All right, I guess I'll keep going because I got number 6 Cook, who's half my weight in front of me, and he didn't do anything. He barely slowed Allen down.
We'll have to agree to disagree there. I think Allen was trying to do the math in his head.
It's possible
because he was slowing down. You saw him look back, and I think he looked at the scoreboard.
I think that there's a lot of quarterbacks
to see who was around him.
I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that could be guilty of that, but Josh Allen, I just don't think so. Yeah. I think he's
I think he knew they needed a touchdown that drive.
Hyper aware of every situation that he's going, much like Patrick Mahomes. I think they are so similar in their quarterback styles.
See,
if Patrick Mahomes was 50 pounds heavier, we'd see a lot more running from him.
Put yourself in that situation and all the things you're thinking about, coverages, everything else. It could slip you didn't think about, if we do this, we do this, or if we do this, we do this, or if we do this, we do this. I think he really was thinking, like, do I need to go down at the 1, or do I need to get the TD? Fuck. Don't give Patrick Mahomes time. Wait, we are at the 2 minute. Yeah, we just had the 2 minute. Okay. Like,
I see what you're saying, and I think with most quarterbacks I agree, but with Josh Allen, I don't think so. I think he was.
I don't think so.
I think he was acutely aware of what was going on, and he was just surprised.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Bob, but he definitely knew going into that
whole drive,
that they needed a touchdown
to put the game out of reach.
Yeah, to put it out of reach. If they didn't get a touchdown, then the Chiefs could go and score.
And what I'm saying is, I bet you he blanked in that moment where he was just flying down the
It's
field.
definitely possible, but that's not his MO.
It's fine. We all got our arguments out. It's good to have difference of of opinion.
I was teaching my 5-year-old that this weekend. Friction is what makes the world go round, sweetie.
Yeah,
Not everything in life can be easy.
There is nothing wrong with having different opinions. If you try to convince people your opinions are right, you've lost the game because opinions are not right. They are opinions.
Okay, I do have a couple more players to highlight.
All right.
I think
We're running a little low on time, but
yeah, so just a couple of quick things. I think Hopkins, I don't think we talked about enough, still had a stellar game. I know he didn't have that many catches.
Stats weren't great, but
his catches were
he came through when he needed to.
solid. Yep. And I know he dropped that one. Well, didn't actually make the catch on that one.
but boy, he sold it like he did.
He did. It was so
right?
close.
Yeah.
And I don't think Mahomes takes that, sees that and remembers that and is like, oh, I can't trust Hopkins. I think he's still no. You see how close that was? Next time I throw that, he's going to catch it.
100%.
So,
yep.
And then I think Juju didn't have much at all.
He only had one catch.
Yeah. But the amount of yards that he fought for on that catch in the fourth quarter moment was huge, right? Like he gave it his all. It was his first game back.
And it was his first game with Hopkins.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that in the pregame that you weren't part of, is that Juju coming back, though he knows Mahomes, he doesn't know Hopkins.
Right.
And we know that the chemistry between Mahomes and the receivers is very important.
Sure.
But the rapport between the receivers and how they block for each other and work together is very important too. So that's just going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
But I love Juju coming back. It's going to be
Same.
huge.
Yep. Oh, the last interception on the day. I mean,
that was a desperation.
yeah.
I'm gonna blame Kelsey. Last interception, Kelsey in his youth. So Kelsey's standing there in the weak spot of the zone. The ball gets thrown.
You think he should have come forward
and
for
I
it?
think Kelsey of old would have come forward and at least made it so it was a no catch, no interception. Maybe not caught it, but he was standing there waiting for the ball, and he was not seeing the defender come in, and that's un-Kelsey like. Also, and Kelsey talked about it during the game. I mean, I don't think he's going to break a tackle again.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's done breaking tackles.
If you get a hold of that man's ankle, he is done.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
When he's used to catching, just pop, he just high step that thing right off.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he's 35 now. Like, let's
but
see.
I also don't think it's because he can't do it. I think it might be because he knows how not to get hurt, and I hate to say it, but he's playing as far as breaking tackles, I think he's playing soft.
Okay. I think the only reason he'd be playing soft, in my opinion, would be because doesn't want to get hurt before the playoffs, not because of anything personal or anything outside of the game going on.
Right.
I think
he
knows
I don't think it's anything.
Not a will versus.
I think he knows his limits, and I think he knows his. And I think in the
it's
playoffs,
age. I think it's age.
In the playoffs, I think he will break some of those tackles.
I think.
do.
Okay. Yes, I will agree with you. When the playoffs come, he will be willing to get hurt, but. I see him right now as being like, I'm smarter than this. It's just, it happens to all of us when we get older.
Yeah, I don't think he's saying it is a bad thing.
But I don't think I think you are saying that's a bad thing. I think you're saying he's playing too soft, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I
think Loki agrees with us.
Yeah.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
So.
You were done.
No. Well, okay. So I think it's the same thing that happens with the majority of people as they get older. I had no fear when I was young, and as you get older, you see so many bad things happen, and then all of those things come into your mind as you make every decision in life that might have injury or anything. And I think that's what's going on with. I think he might be overthinking. Maybe I'm crazy. He's probably the best tight end to ever to ever play. So
I think the difference
who am
is,
I to question him? I'm just spitballing, throwing out
That's fair.
maybe hypothetical.
I think the difference is, so like I get what you're saying, because I skied a lot when I was younger, right? And I went skiing as an adult, and wow, that's terrifying. By the way, the chairlifts, first of all, like how did you ever get me on that? But
yeah, when it was no problem when I was younger.
no problem as a kid, and going
And now
down.
I'm like, I know how many people have fallen
Now
through
going down the
those.
slope, like I'm like, I used to go through the trees when I was little, and I was like, that's just a broken leg waiting to happen. Like I'm so much more scared now. But I don't ski every single day, right? I think if I was younger and I skied every single day, I would still have all of the confidence in the world to do that. I think he just knows that he's been hurt. He was hurt majority of last season, and he knows how he plays. Kelsey, like he wasn't hurt,
Like
but
he wasn't out of the
like,
game, but he was.
Yeah,
there was-
he got hurt at the start of this. He got hurt at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And then he was back by like week 2. Or
right, but there was
that.
something
Yeah,
that
but
was off.
They still play with lingering little things.
Yeah, like he had a lingering injury that
Yeah.
wasn't sidelining him, but it didn't help, you know? And I think he knows that, and I think he's just playing smart, to be honest. I think he's playing smart. I think he knows that this is not the make or break time for him to risk an injury and do that extra move that at 25 probably wouldn't have hurt him, but at 35 might cost him 2 weeks of pain, you know?
Well, and if we're going the opposite direction, that was what I was going to like point out next. It could be that I'm just crazy and he is extremely smart and just knows that it's not worth getting hurt right now, especially with the record that they have. I don't know. He is extremely smart, football savvy person, even though he pretends to be a dum-dum on New Heights. He's extremely smart. He's uneducated on vocabulary and things of that nature, but that's education, not
Intellect.
Not intellect. Yes. And so he is extremely smart. He knows coverages. That's the reason he's been able to get open, and that is not something that's easy to know. So
I will say,
I hope that you're right, and he is just saving himself and not getting soft.
on that play specifically that you started the conversation with, I do love to argue with you and say that you're wrong on things, but that wasn't a point that you brought up while we were watching the play, so it wasn't anything I had even considered till you just brought it up. So I'd really like to rewatch that play. My thought is that he may I think he may have been too far back to have an impact on it, just with my memory of what actually happened without taking that into consideration. So when we do the highlight play, I can't wait to watch that play
Yeah,
back. but-
he would have had to start running back in just he couldn't have just instantly swatted his hand. He would have had to started running back in about it. Okay, our camera just died, so I don't know exactly where we were at. We were somewhere along Jason Kelsey's a pussy. No, I'm kidding. That's not what we were on.
Jason
Wow.
Kelsey?
Oh, hey.
Man, why you gotta bring
How many
Jason
times
into this?
That's like the third time in the last week. You
I
said
love Jason Kelsey,
No
so I
shit.
just always talk about him.
He is-
I mean,
You
I
just called him a
absolutely.
pussy. I don't know if that's...
I mean, that's definitely one thing he's not.
No.
Neither of them are. It was a joke about Travis Kelsey. I was just, yeah. So I don't know. I'm so confused about Kelsey right now, and I don't want to think that it's just that he's old. I don't want to think that, and I'm trying to find excuses to tell me that that's not it. I want him to go down in history as the best tight end ever, so I want him to
is.
play longer. I want him to get more stats. I want him to
He
retire
had
as a
32
Chief.
catches in the last 3 games.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
What do you mean? He's like, yeah, he's not breaking 40 tackles every season anymore, but that's okay.
Yeah, but he is still killing it.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I think that we can all agree on is that Kelsey's doing what he needs to do, and Gray is really stepping up. And I think
No, Gray is
that
stepping
Gray is a good look for our future. I think the fact that he's gotten to train behind Kelsey for the last 3 years. Gray's 10 years younger than Kelsey. So Gray's 25. So Kelsey's not going to last forever. And I think a couple more years of training under Kelsey, like every year we've seen him do more. And I think he's going to step into that role really well when Kelsey does decide to retire.
I still feel like I completely 100% agree with what you said earlier this season with, Gray is a great option as a tight end for after Kelsey is gone, but he's definitely not Kelsey. But the more that we watch him, I still don't think he'll ever reach Kelsey level, but Kelsey is the greatest to ever do it. That is such a high level. That's like saying, well, I don't think Russell Wilson's ever going to be Tom Brady. Right. Guess what? Never will. Never was, never will sniff it.
Yeah.
But if he's 80% of what Kelsey is, that's still a top 20, top 30 tight end of all time. I would absolutely love that.
Focuses and improves every year, right? Because I think he's improved in his route running and his catching. I think if he can learn these next couple years from Kelsey, just other things like how do you, go off route? How do you do X, Y, and Z? Because I don't know that I see a ton of that from Gray. I also don't know how applicable that is or if he should or if he shouldn't, right? But I think that there's a lot that he can still learn, and I think he's got the best teacher.
Well, I want you guys to think back to when we lost Tony Gonzalez and then we drafted Kelsey. And I want you to think back to thinking, I thought, yeah, this guy's okay, but it sucks to lose a Hall of Fame tight end.
Sure.
And then Kelsey just
took off.
Becomes that tight end.
Yeah, but do you remember those plays that he had, like the first 4 or 5 seasons where he would have like 3 or 4 just dumb ass, boneheaded, like stupid things that he did? Like,
well, it wasn't like play on the field. It
was play on the field.
Oh, okay. It was his. What I remember.
It was him being
hothead.
Yeah, it was him being young and hothead,
causing us penalties because he
throwing the yellow flag back at the ref.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God, that is classic. That is one of my favorite memories as a Chiefs fan. Is when he did that. We were like, "What are you doing? That was freaking awesome!" But what the hell, man?
Yeah, it's just Kelsey
so true.
Was such a wild man, and I never in a million years. It's just you just never know what's gonna happen. I mean, after sometimes you do know. Patrick Mahomes came out, and I was like, oh my God! Like after that first year that he played, I was like, this dude is going to be a star as long as he stays humble.
His first
doesn't
game
take too much money.
Yeah,
and
that one game that he played in his rookie's year against the Broncos, when he came out and just played way better than I expected, and I was like, okay.
You're talking about the final game of the season?
Was it the final game?
Yeah,
it was one of the last few games. Yeah, he wasn't the starter.
That was a garbage game.
It was a garbage game, but he still played well.
Yeah, but I didn't know how to take
No,
that.
yeah, you can't on his first game in a season that he's not starting or even playing regularly.
But the fact that he came out and played that way,
yes,
still gave you a lot of hope.
Yes,
and
a ton of hope.
The first year he was in here, he had Kareem Hunt. He basically had the best running back in football. Mm-hmm. And then when Kareem Hunt left, I was like, I still think this guy's going to be the man. And it turned out I was right. And I said, I hope he stays humble, and I hope he stays a student of the game, because that's what made Tom Brady so good. And I hope he doesn't take a huge contract. And I still think he took a contract higher than he should have if he wanted to really, because Brady basically said, so Mahomes, see, we're getting on tangents here, but I'll say it really quick. Mahomes came out and said the reason he didn't take a smaller contract is because he didn't want to screw over other quarterbacks, because basically that's how the market's set. And Brady said, F you, like, I'm going to take this lower one. But the players union actually made different rules because of Brady. So you actually can't do that now. If you want to stay part of the players' union, is something that's kind of hush-hush, kept underground, but you actually can't take a big pay cut to try to win, because Mahomes could do it. He has tons of other money coming from other places, but he just can't now. So that's another thing that Tom had a benefit that, Patrick doesn't have.
But you know
Trent
what?
Green used to do that too.
You know what Mahomes did do, though, is he signed a 10-year contract and he's restructured it multiple times
yes,
to allow for cap space.
He's doing the best that he
So-
can, but he doesn't have the opportunity Brady had. Brady
Okay.
was able to take pennies.
All I'm saying is that he has done more than you would expect somebody to do to be able to keep a team around him. And I understand there's, do you want the team around you to still win the Super Bowls and all of this stuff? Like, I get all of that. But I think he has stayed humble. I think he has.
He's definitely stayed humble.
I don't think he took a huge payday because he felt like he was the superstar that needed to make more money than anybody else. Like, that's not.
Here, I'll actually one up you. He did have a year that he screwed up and did not stay humble. That was the year that he lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. He was going into games basically saying, like, I don't know that Tom's the GOAT. He was cocky.
I don't remember that.
I don't either.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't remember.
And I was watching it specifically because it was the one thing I wanted him to keep is to stay humble, period. And that's what I love about the Chiefs right now. They congratulate everybody. They say they're a great team when everybody else talks shit. I love it. Like it's sportsmanship, but in the lead up to that Super Bowl, he had some cockiness and then he got his ass beaten that Super Bowl, and he's been just the perfect sense. I mean, and he still to this day calls Tom the GOAT, and he says he's the greatest of all time. I think he just had one little lapse that year, like where he thought his shit didn't stink, thought he could do anything, and I've loved it since. But I don't know. We're on super tangents. We've run a little long.
Quick shout out to Connor for the interception on the 4th down attempt.
Dude, shout out to Connor. Connor
awesome.
made some mistakes
Yes, he did.
This game too, but Connor is our DB Swiss Army knife. That guy can play every position. Connor, just keep doing what you're doing, Connor, and try to improve on the small things.
Yeah, the small thing that I noticed was that blatant open field tackle that he muffed on well before the interception, and I even put it in my notes when he made that interception, he made up for the missed tackle. That's the big. I think that's his big hole in his game is open field tackling. But besides that, I couldn't agree more, man. I think Connor is a great asset to this team and to this defense. And
open field tackling, I think he only struggles when he tries to tackle a running back, and that's going to be hard for any defensive back. I mean, when you're, because he plays the nickel back, which is the DB that's in the center of the field, he is expected to, get tackles, and so it is the nickel back is a very hard spot to play, even though you consider them your third corner. But honestly, it's a different skill set. Like you put some of the best corners in nickelback, and they're gonna struggle because they're used to covering a guy. So I don't know, Connor. I think Connor is a big asset to our team. Any last thoughts before we end this out?
I did just have a last thought, but I can't actually structure the whole thought and what I want to say. I'll probably bring it up because it's more of a overall season thing, but it absolutely is pertinent to this game too. But I think I'll wait until the next pregame, next week's pregame show to voice what I'm trying to say here.
All right, well, Mel.
No, I think I'm actually kind of glad that we lost. I'm not so happy that it was the Bills, but I think it will light a fire under some of these guys' butts, because I do think we have a lot of rookies that have never lost before.
Yep.
And I'm not worried about us losing. I'm not worried that we're we don't have our shit together as much as we talked about tonight, the things that we need to improve on. I do think at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and we need to pull through, that we'll do better. I'm not saying that we're definitely going to win the Super Bowl, but I think we will see a stronger showing the further we go on.
Yep. I'm not happy about the loss. It's definitely could have hurt. It's very possible that the Bills will have the number 1 seed now going into the playoffs. I think we're going to lose another game. I don't know if the Bills are going to, but
Bills have to play Detroit.
Yeah, but Detroit's kind of an asshole team that runs the score up on poor fleggling teams, so not really.
Still pretty good, though.
I don't.
Oh yeah, they're really good. They're really good.
I disagree with your point on that, because just because they ran it up on that team, you're looking
up on.
Okay,
on
but you're looking at the small
now.
picture, though. What they're doing is they're sending a message out to the rest of the NFL. Look what we can do. Like, they're trying to do to the rest of the NFL what Patrick Mahomes did. Like,
Well,
you better fear us.
You're going to end up getting your players hurt, and it's
Maybe.
the same thing
Absolutely.
Bill Belichick started doing at the end of his career, and his career has ended. But okay, so my last thought is to Josh Allen and the Bills Mafia. Well played. Well played.
Yep.
You guys controlled the ball for 34 minutes and 3 seconds to our 25 and 57 seconds. You guys played well. You outplayed us, and you won the game. And that's, you play to win the game, and you guys did. And my hat's off to you, and I hope we beat your ass in the playoffs.
Yeah, I said in the pregame that the key to the Chiefs winning this game was going to be our defense, and that was the key.
Yeah.
It was our defense just couldn't quite get it done.
Yep, they got it done all over the place except for Josh Allen.
Yep.
Right, and
Our
he's
defense
part of the team,
has to
so-
find a
He's the
way
team.
before the playoffs to handle these running quarterbacks, though, because with Josh Allen and with Lamar Jackson definitely going to be opponents in the playoffs, like, we have got to figure that out.
I think that's a Spags thing and not a defensive thing, not the players on the field thing necessarily. So I think if
Yeah.
there's a hole in Spags' game, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry though. I'm not going to say, like, what was the final score of the game?
30-21.
Yeah. The offense needs to get it going.
100%. Yes.
Spags is not
Yeah.
the
In Spags,
problem.
we trust.
Yeah, Spags is not the problem. The offense is the problem. I think Andy needs to take a little bit more control over the offense, and I think I've just not been impressed with Nagy since he's taken over.
Andy in his press conference said, I should have
That's
called.
what he's always going to say.
I should have called some more running plays.
That's what he's always going to
Okay.
say. He's always going to protect, just like Patrick
I agree.
Mahomes. That's why those press conferences are kind of worthless. They just show you the
I know.
character. It's why we know Mahomes is an amazing quarterback and teammate and leader, and how we know that Aaron Rodgers is a bad teammate and leader.
But it's
because
always
Aaron
fun to
Rodgers
watch
blames
just to
everybody
see.
else.
I wish
and
they could
Patrick
take
Mahomes puts it all on himself.
I wish
So
they
does
could
Andy
take a
Reid.
truth serum right before they go up there. Just I want to hear what they're thinking, like really what they're thinking.
Yeah, but that would cause too much discourse in the locker room.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
but it'd be great
We
for
ran
us.
way too long. We have to end this out. Mel, where can we find you?
Here every week-ish, maybe.
All right. And you can find all of our links at buckandbob.com. That's BUKNBOB.com. You can leave a voicemail or a text message for us to possibly play or read on the show. Send that to 816-866-1066. And all of our links, Spotify, YouTube, everything's Buck and Bob, BUKNBOB. You can search one word or 3 words, and I think it all comes out the same. You can Google it, whatever. Just help us out. Leave comments. Leave
your
likes.
friends.
Tell your friends. And that's the way you could help us. Buck, where can we find you?
As always, I'm on Facebook, and then you can find me on Twitter at Bucktastic. That's BUK_TASTIK.
Now, you always say you're on Facebook, but you never say who you are on Facebook.
Oh, I'm me, but I'm also as Buk and Bob. You can find us on Facebook.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I never give out my Facebook because that's by people. That I
people that I know.
Yeah. So I never actually give that out. But if you want to find my social account, you can find me on X at blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. And yeah, we're going to get out of here.
Go Chiefs.
How about those Chiefs?
How about those Chiefs?
Oh my God, you guys.